Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show reviews. And today we're going to be reviewing the second season of Upload, coming to you from Amazon Prime. So, was it good? Was it bad? And should you be watching? Upload Season 2 continues the story of Nathan Brown and Nora Anthony and all of the people at Lakeview, that virtual heaven, paradise, whatever you want to call, for the recently deceased or not so recently deceased. And for anyone who has the money to have a virtual afterlife. It's a weird, wild, and I guess interesting near future in which digitizing human brains, consciousness, what have you, is a thing and a thing that people are seeking. So much so that Nathan, who before he died was developing a free alternative to it, manages to somehow get himself into trouble and is nearly murdered for it. And his girlfriend, the rich Ingrid, she saves him. And that's basically in the season 1 we find out all about that. She gets him put in there, but he doesn't love her and all that. They break up. He falls in love with Nora, etc. And then he ends up in the low income, the barely able to afford afterlife part of Lakeview. And so season 2, what's going on? Where is everybody? And who tried to kill him? We want to know all these things, especially because Nora at the end had gone off grid. And so the status quo being I guess sort of reset because Ingrid, she says that she's uploaded herself, which in essence means she's committed suicide in order to come into this world, and in order to make it work with Nathan. Nora, she's off the grid with the Luddites, who are against the technology, in particular against upload technology. And you can kind of see where that's going to go. They're both away from each other, thinking each other doesn't want the other, and finding a new person to sort of hang out with. And at the same time, we also have going on in the real world, we got a new temp named Tinsley. Alicia gets a promotion and has to be a boss. Luke is the lovable doofus. He's sort of figuring out how to be, how to make his feelings for Alicia known. And they have all sorts of crazy WTF stuff going on, like virtual babies. It's a lot of things are going on in this show. But at its heart, it's really sort of a love story wherein Nora and Nathan are drawn back to each other. There is that conspiracy going on. What is, who tried to kill him? Why did they try to kill him? And of course, there's also underneath, it's a sci-fi story, so they're also essentially working on virtual immortality, in which a person can die or be uploaded and then turn back around and be downloaded back into a body. That's something that they experimented on the first season and they're trying to perfect. And so it's, and it's at its heart, it's also a comedy. And to that effect, very funny. I laughed out loud quite a bit in this season. Many great sight gags. Thanks to the virtual world, there's all sorts of fun things they can do with the reality and CG and whatnot that makes a lot of for a lot of fun. I want to actually shout out some of the WTF moments. Those virtual babies were horrifying. I want to punch the designer who created those virtual babies. I want to punch him or her in the face because it was horrifying, but also quite hilarious. This season also really shined in the sense that several characters really kind of got rehabilitated or really got upgrades to their personalities. Ingrid in particular, I want to give a shout out to Allegra Edwards for playing a rich entitled socialite and still managing, and thanks of course to the writers and the material, but she really embodies someone who is not necessarily a terrible person, but their position in, I guess you say, their privilege in life has sort of blinded them to real and what's good and whatever, but still trying and still, loving and trying to learn how to love and show love and doing the bad things for a good reason. And also because she really has to do kind of double duty at one point, being played by a completely different person, having to act completely different. And that actually happens a couple times in there. Andy Allo, who plays Nora, she also is early on a different person is playing her, so she actually has to act completely differently. That was really interesting. And also, I want to give a shout out to Owen Daniels, who played AI guy, who is just consistently having to do a lot of heavy lifting, very comedic heavy lifting, but also shows up as the actual actor who was digitized to be AI guy. It's all very interesting and very, very good acting, in my opinion. Um, I did struggle sometime to figure out what the heck was the point of this series. I often ask that, like, why are they doing this? What is the main idea? It took about 5 episodes out of a 7 episode season to really know what they were getting at. Of course, what they're getting at is, as always, this is something of a metaphor for, I guess, abuses of rich and powerful, and in this case, trying to perpetuate themselves into perpetuity, and exploiting poor, underprivileged, and just working class people for their own gain. And there's also there's a lot of good ethical sci-fi questions about why when you digitize human minds, what does that actually mean for humanity as a whole? And if you're going to have virtual heaven, is it okay to have it stratified the way our not heaven, the real world is? Can you create life with digital life, and is it okay to do that? uh, is this really a heaven, or is it a power control scheme? As we sort of see that toward the end of this the season, that there's a scheme to more or less disenfranchise a lot of people by offering them a free heaven. And is it is that okay? Is heaven okay if that's the end game of the creators and the people who maintain it? And of course, there's the consciousness, the gaining consciousness of the AI guy. So that's all. I found all of that very interesting. I actually, you know, made me think quite a lot about that society and what their priorities are. And of course, we get to see the Luddites and how they are against technology and uploads. And even though I think that they actually got kind of shortchanged in terms of fleshing out their beliefs and their society and how they were interacting with and trying to bring down the modern one, that where uploads were a thing. I don't think that they got as much justice as they could have. They were essentially used to drive forward the narrative in which Nathan essentially gets to come back to the real world. And of course, we find out who's behind it all. And surprise, surprise, it's a morally bankrupt, psychopathic, rich dude. Well, surprise. But all that said, uh, it's the show's very strong. It's super funny. I like nearly everybody on the show. I like the relationships between all of them. Every character seemed to have some growth. Uh, Nora and Nathan not so much, because they more or less did that in the first season. That was all very cool. I just really wish this was longer. 7 episodes, let's be honest, was kind of messed up. 7 episodes kind of messed up. And they ended on a terrible cliffhanger. And so, I'm not going to say this is perfect. I had a great time with it, but that ending, like, come on. So, but overall, I enjoyed the heck out of it. And I think everybody should be taking a look at this show. I think it's a great show. I just hope they come harder with more episodes next season. And so, Amazon greenlight this thing already, okay? All right, so those are my thoughts on Upload Season 2. What do you guys think about it? What did you think about what I had to say about it? Why don't you get down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking. And of course, you can always hit me up, supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter. And let's talk about this great show and what we can expect in the future. All right, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, thanks for joining me on this review. Come back. Again, I got more reviews coming in the near future. Until then, I'm Amell Poupe, your resident fabricant and commenter extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.